Well, uh, uh, w- w- uh, 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 welcome to the parody, I guess. The episode begins on Earth outside what looks like Hotel Transylvania. Ignore the sentinels outside, seems as if this is the actual Cabin Fever Labs itself. There's a lot of humans in this place, including this guy that looks like Baptist. They even have their drone test subject, Nori Dorman. However, their testing goes sideways when a bunch of claw-looking tentacle things come out of her. After a failed harpoon murder, they try getting her into satanic rituals. Satan probably wouldn't allow this. If this is what being up there causes, I don't know what else can happen. Dr. Chambers is sent outside the church building to search for Yeva, Doll's mother. Meanwhile, they're about to treat this drone like a vampire. So I guess in some ways this is like Hotel Transylvania after all. After a Nori and Sentinel jump scare, he goes into some cave systems. Yo, I need you for something, some super serious shit, man. When they get back, it seems like that cross went into Nori's face. However, shit goes completely sideways when there's some blood and the cross on the ground. What's with your hand, man? More like what's with your fate, dude! Bro gets sucked into the first black hole, which will add him to the count. I won't count someone else later, even though they get sucked into a similar black hole, but look, there's blood gushing from his arm. How should I not count that? Everyone else in there disappears except for Dr. Chambers. With the place crumbling all around them, the only thing he has is the cross offensive. Well, looks like it's too late for you, since Nori's coming up on some sort of eldritch thing. She uses the Absolute Silver to steal the cross from him and then just throw it back into his face. Oh shit. Turns out someone still has that exact same cross. It's this creature right here listening to Nightcore with that iPod. She gets all out of her mind and gets ready for a mining adventure in the caves. Yo, wait, she gonna find some diamonds? Meanwhile, on a CRT, we see an elevator going down, cutting us into the main storyline. With the void back up closed, they have seemingly nothing left. For a solution, he starts blasting right through the rocks and clawing at them. He tells Uzi to start using the Absolute Silver, but don't you remember last time when she started trying to use it? Could have gone without the human-ass blood. He starts profusely apologizing and trying to comfort her, but Tessa won't allow it. Since this is gonna be an intense adventure, she decides to let Uzi sit this one out. And backs her up, since he knows exactly where we're going, and there's probably some stuff that she won't like down there.
Oh, what the hell is going on?
Nothing!
Yeah, it's for sure nothing, since we're going back to more of like what we had in the earlier episodes with these two. Like for real, what was Liam Vickers trying to do with these two in episode 6? He says they're not going to hurt her, but she takes that the wrong way. She uses the Absolute Solver and causes a natural divide between them. We cut back to the drone spot where we meet Lizzie and Thad again. Maybe would have liked this more if Thad's voice actor wasn't still Sean Chiplock. However, something in the area makes them start floating all up in the air, and then they fall down. That was actually the landing pod, showing us an even clearer look at the corpse spiral. Well, since I'm back to the corpse spiral for counting bodies again, I managed to count 119 possibly brand new bodies. Hey, hold on, wait a minute, who's Lizzie texting?
Does your secret friend want to know about football, or?
So, like, should we tell Thad, about the events of episode 6, or? Hey, wait, dude, you're at the prom raising up boys and girls. Lizzie has shown off V to you! What are you doing? Not to mention that Lizzie's probably in love with V or something, but, like, you should know that V exists, dude. It seems as if the cave-in has knocked N out. Looks like the situation he's in is gonna take 127 hours to get out of. Oh, and he's going in for the full treatment. Holy shit! And I don't know about you, but I'm gonna take all the crumbs I can get at this point. Right by the meme emoji papers, she sees some stuff about Nori in the church. Oh, and the possible remains of human society, but whatever. All she really needs from this is a lantern. And is sawing away at his arm, trying to ignore the monster. This portion of what I think might be the Absolute Solver takes away N. In the process, it gives some flashbacks to what they used to do. I'm not gonna count the guy in the top hat since I think that's just a person from Elliott Manor. However, aside from that, I will be counting the 7 other people I can track getting murdered. We even got guys in copters getting incinerated and the such. Oh, and the usual cut-in-half buffet. And it was, holy shit, that's V, great to see you again. This scene also suggests that there's even more disassembly drones than we initially thought. If you can recall last episode, there were a lot of disassembly drone bodies there, and I think some of these people might be among them. He's thrust out of the flashback and back into reality. Well, gotta go off somewhere, bye! We come back to the cathedral, which is now underground. She flies in to investigate and sees the black hole and this light coming from a source. It's coming from where we saw that one person earlier, and of course it was yes to investigate it. From what we saw at the beginning of the episode was paused, so she has to go rewind it to get the full story. What she sees shocks her. Back in the cave systems, N is getting repeatedly dragged by this V Eldritch thing.
Yeah, I guess it should mention that this is a sin and not actually V because, you know, V's episode 6 sacrifice.
Yeah, this is Sin. He's now in the pit of gore with bastards along the walls. However, he gets saved by an absolute solver pickaxe from that character we met at the beginning. She and him get away from the monster and she says he looks a bit familiar. She wants him to do some cross-pedaling because of a guy.
Looking for a hunk named Con.
Uzi's dad?
We are so back! After the monster passes him, she only has one question.
How do you know my daughter?
Hey, hold on a second, aren't you supposed to be dead? I had you in my episode 2 parody and everything. It's also here that we finally see Nora Dorman, Uzi's mother, so I'll add her to the count. Well, you see, it's simple. This thing right here is actually also Nora Dorman. Even though the disassembly drones may have killed her actual live drone body, this is still enough of a confirmation of survival for me. Therefore, I will be depleting her kill off of episode 2's count. Also, this drone right here, not Sarah. We cut back to Lizzie and Thad, where they're waiting for Jay to get out of the corpse spiral. She actually does, and it blows them back a bit. Jay then decides to go, I don't know, shopping? Also, yeah, there's a whole bunch of other dead drones I probably haven't counted yet. There's no definitive answer to how many bodies are in the corpse spiral, so, here's 116 more bodies. Left inside is a fiery ember of what used to be the old landing pod. And oh yeah, before they almost entered and got blown away, I could count 81 brand new bodies for me to add to the count. Probably not a correct number by any means, but hey. So anyways, they enter the spiral and holy shit! It's Con Dorman! The goat is back, baby! In general, this is the first time we see him outside the actual bunker he lives in. After finding the core for the railgun, they all start floating again. Well, if I stop selling doors, this might be the best way I could go to stop those murder drones. We go down to the cave systems for a scene focusing on Tessa. She gets to know about all the people who are still in, status. As it's shown that Nori is still in progress, that means I can completely remove her off the episode 2 count. Yeva just has a patch, but I don't know if that should really count, so I'm not going to deplete her kill from episode 2. Well, with all that taken care of, why not just blow that shit up? Very quickly, Doll pops up to ask her what the patch is. However, I don't think Tessa wants to talk USB. I think she wants to talk sour. Tessa uses her sword to cut off the button covering Doll's other eye, revealing that she also has blood underneath that too. Tessa's thinking devious, so she throws that cleaver she has to get the knife out of Doll's hand, and then just completely snuffs out the flames. Doll lights up her way forwards, only to get greeted with a Five Nights at Freddy-ass jump scare. We cut back to what we saw at the beginning of the episode, maybe to finally resolve it. However, we still have continuations of what happened there, as Yeva frees the Dr. Chambers from dying. Oh, that one USB crucifix? Yeah, it gets thrown down the black hole. Even though Yeva feels sympathetic for the down Nori, it still feels as if the Absolute Solver has more stuff to do. By sending that no hand down that black hole, they just made a mistake. A mistake so big, it caused the entire series to begin. Yeah, that's right, after this we cut back to Earth and BOOM! Although there's still a lot of elements of truth in the pilot's explanation of how things began, this serves as the direct explanation for what's happened. There was more so explained as just a silly little accident. Said silly little accident led them to flee to another planet and start building anew. However, along the way, the disassembly drones appeared and gave an end to their silly little lives. Just silly little fun, right? So basically, every single worker drone would have been normal if it wasn't for that monumental mess up. The exposition does take place basically right as this happened, you know? However, it wasn't actually just human incompetence, it was actually a black hole hand getting sent into the core of the Earth. Alright, so it seemed to have killed all the humans that were in the lab, right? Well, yes. Aside from the drone Baptist who we saw die in the beginning, we saw 16 more humans in there, including Dr. Chambers. That means 16 kills can be added due to Nori's explanation of all the events. She then goes on to recap the rest of her life, including the child she had with Kanu, who ended up being Uzi, and the murder drones. Even though the solver could have been ended just like that, it came back to finish its job here on Copper 9. That means the host is somewhere here, and it might be in his best friend. Said best friend has been pretty messed up by all she saw in there. However, that's really not all that's messed up about this in the slightest. Someone makes her way into the cathedral and slips around, and we see a body. It ends up being Doll, ribs completely exposed, with her final word telling Uzi to fight back against the absolute solver. Oh hey look, it's Tessa. You have anything to do with this? Well, actually, I don't really know yet. We have to make sure En doesn't tell Uzi anything about what's going on here. He eventually ends up with a promise with her, with one condition.
To wait until you're ready to tell her yourself?
Let's get this shit rolling! Uncharacteristically, with what we've known for her characters so far, Tessa is acting much more evil than usual. Like, dude, she's about to kill Uzi. She almost does so until En holds her at, blade point. He wants to know if she has anything to do with the missing source, and he just brushes him away. En lands on a swipe, appearing to brush something off for himself, and it ends up being Tessa's decapitated head. Since this is the last form of the character as we've come to know her, I'll add her to the list. Knowing that the jig is about to be up, he gives Uzi the crucifix in order to help her feel better from her absolute solver problems. However, as it turns out, she's probably not who she used to be. Oh yeah, definitely not with destroying the crucifix. Turns out she's damn near fully possessed by sin. However, before she can get the final kill in on En, her mother comes in.
Nori, you're dead.
You're frickin' grounded.
Angry.
Fuck yeah, let's get into another fight scene! This time, though, it's a really personal fight scene as En has to go up against Uzi. Or at least this form of Uzi that just whips him around all over the place. He tries getting her to stop by holding the blade up to her neck, but she only tries to push it in further. The only thing that stops her is by cutting her hand off and slapping her a whole lot. It seems as if they almost got it in the bag, but nope, Uzi's regenerated her hand. She starts her null commands, which sends out a whole lot of other things that shoot all over the place. They fly past all these black holes, even slicing out one before an En gets to Uzi and Nori cuts off her hand. She tries stopping her other hand from getting cut off, but Nori distracts her with a face whip, and they all start shooting at each other with more black holes until her hand gets off again. Uzi saves herself from falling down that black hole until she gets an iron pickaxe. She welcomes Pickaxe not because there's diamonds down there, but because Sin just wants his body to be dead. En pushes Uzi out of the way of the pickaxe, saving her life once and for all. Afterwards, he hits hard. However, unluckily for Nori, Uzi has another pickaxe. 4! She gets back the pickaxe and throws it down at En, probably wanting to kill him too. She almost makes DeviantArt canon in this universe before En writes a message.
I should mention Uzi and I!
What?
Oh, Liam Vickers. I see what you're trying to do here. Also, Sin, even if you're in Uzi's body, that was a nice reaction. Even the characters in the show don't want Uzi to be canon, and that's pretty hilarious. That includes one final blow from Nori, who reminds Uzi of who killed her mother. Uzi tries putting her own senses into Nori, reverting her back to her old self. She also uses the opportunity to dropkick her into the hole. Well, Nori is pretty screwed here, so I'll add her to the count, like, for real this time. They have a short shouted confrontation where it's revealed to Uzi herself that was actually her mother and all that other stuff, but it just ends up in them hugging. Guys, I just think they're glad to see them in their normal states again. Tessa's helmet almost rolls back into that black hole before something stops it. While Uzi may be in her normal state, that's far from the case with Tessa. An unzipping sound plays, giving us this massive amount of gore coming out of it. The abomination coming out of that also drags away Doll's body. That's something both En and Uzi realize, and they look around only to find this. Much to their disbelief, this is actually who's been hanging around the entire time. This is actually Sin, who's wearing a skin body out of Tessa. This right here may as well be one of the more complicated parts of the episode, so I'll just try to explain it the best I can with what I have. So as seen in the ending of episode 3, we're introduced to the character of Tessa Elliott. As occasionally built up in episodes 5 and 6, it may have seemed that she was here to find the root cause of the Absolute Solver. Finding the root cause may have also helped her stop it. After all, this is information Tessa provided us with in episode 6.
We know it mutates in damaged AI. It took Sin as a host, then it took everything. I'm here to find which drones were infected. When we get to the labs and find that list, I'll need you to choose the universe over one little drone and...
However, now it seems as if this wasn't actually the case. Circling back to episode 5, it showed us what it was like at Elliott Manor before the show began. If you recall, that was the first chronological appearance of Sin in the show. She's been omnipresent ever since before there were actually disassembly drones. How this would relate to episode 5 is the fact that Tessa was one of the main characters of the episode. It was shown there that she was friendly to the drone servants, something which her parents didn't like. One of those servants protecting her was Sin. After that, Sin and Tessa may have built up a friendship within the manor. However, Tessa saw that Sin wasn't really what she seemed to be. Tessa even saw her camera form. It seemed that the eldritch form of Sin had built up many bodies within the basement of the manor after all. After that, Sin eventually appeared in the gala. And if you recall, there was a gala massacre that killed every single human in there. The reason the massacre was off-screen was because maybe they didn't want to reveal that Tessa had actually died there. Even then, outside of that, she was shown in glitchy form in episode 2. They probably set it up this way just so the viewers couldn't guess right off the bat that Tessa was actually dead. However, throughout episode 6, they actually set up the fact that Tessa may have actually been dead all along. After all, if Tessa was human and they figured that out, why wouldn't they have just killed her right off the bat? The biggest factor of this was also in episode 6, when she was confronting that Sentinel. It shows in the Sentinel POV that it says to eliminate AR targets, even though it bit Tessa, who wasn't an AI at that moment. The only reason for the Sentinel to have bit Tessa was because Sin was actually in her. With Sin being an AI, it would make sense that Sentinel would try to kill Tessa. I don't know if anyone else has pointed this out, but it's only now just occurred to me that Uzi's condition with the Absolute Solver got worse when Tessa was around. After all, it almost possesses her at points. However, there's one episode I haven't looked at here yet, and that's Cabin Fever, episode 4. If you remember, some weird shit happens that episode with Uzi and the Absolute Solver. After this animation error, it was shown that Uzi was possessed by the Absolute Solver in some form. Under any other circumstances would she kill any other worker drone? That's right, if she wasn't possessed by the Absolute Solver, and in this episode she was. But the question remains, how would she get badly possessed by the Absolute Solver if Sin wasn't there? However, the thing is, she actually was there throughout the entire episode. Most notably, you can see her in this shot I picked from the Murder Drones wiki. It shows her within her puppet Tessa form. It would explain Uzi's sudden change with the Absolute Solver in this episode. Furthermore, it was only revealed that she had the Absolute Solver in episode 3, where Tessa didn't show up until the very end. And in episode 5, an episode that has Tessa as a main character, Uzi is shown using the Absolute Solver. There's a very simple explanation for why it doesn't get bad. Uzi is never shown near Tessa at any point within the episode. Factor that in with how normal Uzi got after the fake Tessa was killed. If you didn't listen to all of that, that's okay, even though I'll just sum it up for you here. Tessa Elliott was actually fused with Sin whenever she died within the Gala Massacre back in episode 5. However, since then, she's blended in with everyone else, creating a false sense of security. After that sense got interrupted with N, Sin knew the jig was up. That's probably why Sin drops the act of being Tessa Elliott and decides to just be herself for a change. Her lie would eventually be busted. After all my explaining the last 4 minutes as a parody, I can basically finally say that Glitch hid this important plot detail under our noses the entire time. Sin immediately starts feasting on N, which Uzi tries to stop, but that's Absolute Solver host versus Absolute Solvee. And now, since she can be herself, she's decided to start her ultimate plan on Copper 9. It shoots a light straight out of Cabin Fever Labs, where Jay is landing right now. She repeats a beat from episode 3 before she gets hit by a bus. The keys eventually drop down a hole. The boss line from episode 3 basically making a return this time signifies that Jay doesn't really know. She doesn't know about the Tessa Singh connection. She confronts the two people who hit her off the bus, who are Lizzie and Thad. Oh, prior hazard is right, lady. I'm just surprised it hasn't happened to you again. Sin tries to kill Uzi and N with the black hole thing. However, she actually values N's life more than her own, and she decides to throw him back onto the floor.
Thanks for, like... everything.
On the way down, she cuts off one of his legs and stabs him with the car keys. The final measure flings him out of the cathedral. And with that, oh dear God, no, not you too! Basically, in an attempt to stop the absolute stuffer, Uzi sacrifices herself. However, unlike the other two people I counted going down that hole, she's not actually dead. She's just been sent to the remains of a distant planet. This is the third episode on the road to end off on a cliffhanger, and this might just be the most powerful one of them all. It's really effective, setting up the finale and the fact that the credits playing are also silent. However, were the quantity of kills in the episode as low as the volume of the music playing over the end credits? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Hey, hold on a second. Don't worry, guys, I'm actually fine.
Or am I?
No, I'm just kidding. But my best count, there were 343 kills in Murder Drones Episode 7. The victims consisted of 4 women, 16 male scientists, and 323 others of unknown gender. Thanks to that spiral, we got a whole lot of gray in this pie chart. Yet again, for some reason. What's with the series and gray pie charts? This is by far the deadliest episode of the entire series, while also subtracting 1 kill from Heartbeat's original 15. Now that one actually has 14 kills now, which I guess we should go and just put on that stat. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I less cared about consistency in the show when we're at like episode 3. With a runtime of 26 minutes, that left us with a kill on average of 4.55 seconds. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to Doll, since it's an important character and is by far one of the goriest kills of the show. Broken Pistol can just go to those damn spiral corpses. I don't think these people managed to turn in a Dirty Cop 12 years ago. And that's it. Murder Drones Episode 7 was released just yesterday, and I don't know how I managed to do this parody so fast. Episode 8 has an unconfirmed release date as of now, but we'll be getting back to parodies on April 3rd with the second part of the Roblox Ragdoll Show Season 7. Until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and it's been The Parody. Thanks a lot for watching what is by far my longest Murder Drones parody. Seeing this episode live is an experience I probably will never be able to relive, going through everything with a first glance at what's going on. I'm so glad we got on better episodes, because episode 6, while still good, had a fair share of flaws, most notably the newsy stuff. Liam Vickers, please don't make that ship canon. I am begging you! Anyways, like I've said, next episode's supposed to be the finale, and I am excited for it, but if I do have one wish, just please confirm that Via is alive, okay?
Thanks for watching.